Yes. Okay, here you go. Yeah, here we go.
No unions.
Under charter district, there is a contract that is signed about the school between the state, the school district, and the school. And all three of these people understand what's in the contract, and if the school is not living up to the terms and conditions of what's in the contract, they can close the school. True or false? Raise your hand.
It's a charter school.
Right.
They can pull the contract. A regular public school, they can't close it.
True or false? Yes, sir.
The contract will be pulled by, I'm going to answer your question.
Okay.
The contract will be closed by the school? Was that your question?
No, what I'm saying is that the local board of education can say, y'all are not meeting the terms and conditions of this charter, so we're going to start the process to close the school.
And that's local board of education?
Yes.
And I'm going to answer that question will be false.
The answer to that question is true.
Yep.
True.
That's if it is a charter school.
Yes.
We're not charter schools.
Right.
No, we're not charter schools, we're a charter district.
Hold on.
So wait a minute.
So they can close the whole district.
You have to forgive me.
Hold on, guys. Yeah, thank you. Go ahead.
We are, when we open this up,
Yes.
Madam Moderator, you asked about questions pertaining to charter systems.
Right.
And what's going to happen now is we get confused because questions are being answered about charter schools. So I want to make sure the definitions remain the same.
Yeah.
So I'm not confused.
Right.
And you as anybody else in here. I mean, so now, you said the question being asked about a charter school.
The Clark County School District currently has one charter school in it.
Right, J.J. Harris.
J.J. Harris. But being a charter district does not mean that every school is a charter school. It's a fine distinction, and Ms. Morgan and I have sort of different backgrounds and different understandings of it. But what we're looking at is not a system of individual charter schools, but a charter district.
Which,
The only difference between a school and a system is who
we're not
owns
going
the
to get it.
contract.
We're not going to maximize the next 15 minutes. We've got like 8 conversations going on.
Thank
Right.
you. Please listen to Mr.
So-
Morgan. Mr. Morgan, before you came in,
Yes, ma'am.
I made the statement, Clark County School District is petitioning or putting in an application for a charter system. We got a definition of a charter system, but I don't know if you all still understand it. So what we're trying to do is to limit our questions to charter system only, because this is the way that Clark County School District is going to. So when you say charter school or charter district, I'm still confused. So if we could just stick with a charter system. Do you have any questions as to what can happen under a charter system? These interchangeable terms are really confusing.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me start with the big and then work it down as it relates to the questions. A charter district,
Is that the same as a charter system?
same thing.
Okay,
Charter
charter district,
system,
charter system.
same thing. Charter district, charter system, same thing.
And the same thing is a system of charter. Because I was meeting with Dr. Lemieux, and I heard that phrase being used.
I'll get to that too.
They're looking at a charter system, not a system of charter schools.
Okay, right.
Thank you.
All right. So let's start with charter system / charter district. That is right. That's Clark County
Yes, sir.
going and executing a contract with the state of Georgia. And the contract's going to say, we're going to do this, and this. Right? In exchange for doing this, they're going to have flexibility and autonomy that they wouldn't traditionally have. Let me give you an example of one that they might choose. They might say, we no longer want to have to abide by certification. I'm not saying that that's what they put in there. I'm give you an example. So I want y'all running this. Y'all said teachers don't have to be certified.
They did put that in there.
Okay. So what that would mean is this. Let's say a principal thought that this gentleman was really talented in the area of math and science, and that he could come in and do a great job with students. No longer would he be required to say, okay, go to University of Georgia, get certification, blah, 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 blah. Yes. You just say, hey, come in and teach. That's one of the things that they could potentially do. They could also do it with compensation. They could say, under charter district, again, charter district, charter system, same thing. Could say, okay, if you're a fifth-year teacher and you have a master's degree, you know, they currently have a step. They could say, we don't do that anymore. We don't want to do that anymore. We want to pay this person X amount of dollars. Now, in exchange for these flexibilities and latitudes, there's accountability. And accountability is saying that, what grade are you in? Sixth grade? Fifth. The district will make up a set of academic benchmarks that they're going to meet. Contracts between the state and the district are typically 5 years. Now, what can help is, let's say a district gets to year 3 and they say, we might not make this particular one right here. They can go and amend it. They can go and ask and say, hey, we don't think we're going to get to 76% of English language learners, but we do think we're going to get to 67%. They can go in the state, 99.9% of the time say, okay, you can change this stat. That's reasonable. So that's what you can do. At the end of 5 years, the district has to go to the state and give an accounting of what they've done. And say, hey, you made it, you met 7. They don't look for 100% adherence. They don't look say, oh, okay, you missed. But if there is gross underachievement, the state can say, we're taking it over. We're taking it over. This is kind of how I look at it. Not kind of, this is how I look at it. And this is a question only you can answer for yourself. I know where I stand on it. And sometimes it makes me very unpopular in Cobb County. If you think Clark County, and I'm not here to answer this question for you, if you think the Clark County School District has a laser-like focus and commitment to educating children, then I would say let them just keep doing what they're doing.
Hey, I like that.
Ms. Morgan, might I just step in? My understanding, I want to
Okay.
help you. My understanding is that the only option where the state can come in and take over, unless new legislation is passed, is in the IE square. That if a charter district doesn't do, it either has to negotiate a new charter or go back to the old status quo, which means no waivers, no flexibility.
Right. Well,
The state right now, the state law does not allow the state to come in and take over a school district except in the IE2 option,
Right.
which is not the one we
right.
chose.
That is correct. In theory, that's what they would say. But the state will, for all intents and purposes, if you're not doing it, they're going to come in and say, hey, well, change this, change this. You don't have it, you do have it. So in theory, they won't. So I did want to say that. Now what I want to do is answer a couple questions and then kind of one other thing I had brought up. Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
What I'm hearing, I get the impression that the contract
Yes, sir.
with the state on a charter district plan is the same for all schools.
It's the same, the district sets its benchmarks.
Yes.
It doesn't say
Yes.
this school's going to do this and this one.
Yes.
But as a district, our fifth graders are going to be here and our graduation.
Right. Which is why Cobb County chose IE squared. Was because School A might have a totally different set of situation as School B. So when you say, okay, all right, the fifth graders are going to such and such, that, you know, you have a whole set of different variables.
Why do we need the board then if everybody going to have the same standard?
Okay, well, let me say this to you. Let me say this to you, sir. Let me say this to you. Let me say this to you. The reason that is happening, now this has nothing to do with Clark County, Cobb County, anything, is because people don't do a good enough job of holding people accountable and asking the right questions, like you just did. That is why. What typically, what school districts, whether you're talking about Cobb, Clark, Coweta, Oconee, whatever, typically, what they want is this. Now again, remember people, I'm on the school board. So I'm not somebody talking from, typically, they just want you to close your eyes, get in the car, and just ride.
Yep.
Don't ask any questions. Don't say anything. Don't upset the apple cart, because if you do, then so a lot of times I sit on the school board and I ask questions, right? And you know what I feel? I say, man, am I the crazy one? Like, am I the only one? Like, y'all, like, this makes sense to y'all? Right? And what I realize is this, that what has happened, school districts, whether you're talking about Georgia, Alabama, Florida, Michigan, wherever you find a great concentration of poor people, low income, working class people, they have taken us for granted.
Yep.
And say, we want you to stay dependent upon us, but we're not going to make the necessary changes to make sure that baby goes through. That's what happens typically in school districts. What I will humbly submit to you is this. There's an adage that says this. The first time you fool me, second time you fool me. And what I will submit to you is that, humbly submit to you, is that until we collectively ask the right questions and hold people accountable, they're just going to repackage it and it's going to be the same old thing.
Yep.
Okay, is this the same old thing? That's what I humbly submit to you.
Dr. Morgan here, we wanted to hear the truth. And nothing but the truth.
So I posed an original question to you, which was, we have had a lot of discussion before you came about whether the power of these governance boards at individual schools, whether that was real power, or whether that was just some sort of ceremonial input
Outstanding
that couldn't
question.
make an actual difference.
It can be real power. But this is the key, y'all. You got to have the right people on the committee. Now listen. You cannot have people. Let me tell you something that I've learned the hard way. The hard way. Did y'all hear me say the hard way? You can have well-intentioned people that don't know what they're doing. They can love the babies. They are going to run through a wall for you. And you need that. But you need people who know what they're talking about and how we're going to get from A to B. You don't want to get a bunch of people on there who, you know, they get to arguing and fussing over, okay, are the plastic forks going to be white or yellow? Then it's going to be a train wreck. And then it's going to seem like, oh, see, that system didn't work. And it wasn't that. It can work. Where I was, it worked. Because again, listen, they told us, these babies going to school from 7:30 to 5. They said, we looked at all the test data, David. There's a whole lot of kids in this school that need to be called up. Y'all going to school from 7:30 to 5. Monday to Friday. Every other weekend, you're going from 9 to 1.
Who paid for that? How you get it?
Same pot of money. They're just using it differently. Let me tell you something else they said. They said, we're no longer going to say, well, she's been a journalist 4 years, I've been a journalist 4 years, whatever. She makes $40,000, I make $40,000. They said, you've been a journalist 4 years and you are transcendent, we're going to pay you $65,000. Because they had the ability, and that's the same pot of money. This is not extra money. So then what happened is this. It created a culture within the school of accountability. That where you said, wow, you know what? This is the question I always ask parents when you think about somebody teaching your child. This is what I ask them. Would you want somebody teaching your child that regardless of how they taught your child, they were going to get paid X amount of dollars? Or would you want somebody who, based upon how they taught your child, would determine how much more, I'm not saying you shouldn't have a base, how much more they might or might not get. A charter system or district can give you the flexibility to do that. Now, I'm going to say this to y'all. Now, it's going to ruffle some feathers. But I'm going to say this. What I learned after I bumped my head up against the wall enough, I don't care where the help comes from. So when you're talking about configuring a board for a school, you want to make sure that you have somebody who is good with numbers. I don't care if their name is LaQuanda Johnson or Jen Chakchu. Somebody that can roll in there and say, these are the numbers, and this is where we stand. You want to have somebody who is good at leadership. Someone who can make decisions based upon, at the end of the day, what's in the best interest of that child. Not what's going to necessarily make you happy or make me happy. What makes her happy. So can a charter district work, charter system work? Can it help schools that have been chronically underserved? Yes, but you have to have the right people in place. I can help you navigate it and ask the right questions to the system. This is what I tell my board colleagues and our superintendent in college. And they know I do. I say, I'm a part of the board. And I feel like I'm pushing this huge bureaucracy to change. Even though there's unequivocal evidence that how we're doing it is not working. I said, so can you imagine how it feels if I'm a part of it? If I can call the superintendent, if I can just walk into the office, can you imagine how I feel just for the average parent? That's not a part of it. They're not well connected. They don't know who to. And as long as we continue to allow the system to keep us desensitized and feeling like this is the only way we can deliver education, we'll continue to get these results. I think I did that. Yes, ma'am. And then you, ma'am. And then I'll wrap it up. Yes, ma'am.
Talking about the fine, changing the time. Okay, we didn't make our quota, so we're gonna move up some time. We're going to amend this. To me, that's stiff. Okay, that's just like when they had a feeder program here in Athens, Georgia, Park County during the 70s, but when the black people found out about this feeder program, all that money was gone. That sounds like the analogy that when they're talking about the Obama phones, Commissioner Tim Eccles told me that the Obama phones were really phones that came on in 72 or 73.
Ms. Bagley, can I interrupt you just for a minute, please? And it is 3 o'clock. And if you have a specific question for Mr. Morgan, would you go ahead and ask that question, because we're going to take one more after you and have closing remarks.
It sounds like the charter thing is still a maneuver of getting money for other people, and no one that needs it gets it.
Okay. Well, I will say this: that is that's not accurate. Again, it's about knowing the system. You can most definitely use a charter system for your benefit. You just have to have the right people who are well versed enough to take it and use it to your benefit. So it most definitely can work. What's most important, and whatever it takes, I'm willing to do, is getting yourself well versed enough So again, you can take advantage of it because the district is going to do it. Because if they don't do it, if they stay status quo, you can lose tens of millions of dollars. So they're not going to stay status quo. They're going to go charter district, and there could be an educator. I heard someone say that it has to be training for the board. Very, very important.
Okay.
Who does the training?
I would strongly encourage that type of.
One quick question, we're gonna have to wrap this
Okay.
up in
Afterwards, if you have questions, I'll be happy to try to answer.
question.
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to be really, really clear on this.
Yes, ma'am.
That whether it's a charter district or charter system, that the 9 to 11 panel that we're gonna pick for each school will have rights to do things like, we're going to teach science in this school, and if they choose to teach science in another school, they don't have to. They would have the right to make individual decisions in the school that they're at, based on this 9 to 11 panel. But I really want to be clear about that, because what happens here is, somebody just said we were 27% of the community. I substituted in schools, and I saw 80% minority.
Question, please.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to get to that,
Right.
because I think the most important thing is, like you said, that we have the right people in place, but that's gonna be very hard to do here when you have a district of 80% minority students and then 80% other teachers.
Okay.
So
Well,
that's what my question.
yeah, you're still gonna have to teach reading, math, science, social studies. So no, you can't just say we ain't teaching math.
I
Not-
know, that was just an example. Can they, not part of a wrong analogy,
Right.
but can they make the decision as to an individual school, what they do? For example, let's put it like this, because we know they have to speak to standards. For example, can they say, well, we want to have a music program or
Yeah.
something like that in one school, because they have, and would the funds be based on, like it is now, property taxes? So one school might have a lot more resources than, say, another school.
No. It's not. No, it's not going to have this school over here got $1 bazillion and this school over here has pennies. No, it won't be that.
It's
You
a
still have to
perfect
teach
school
that,
district
right?
wide.
But how you deliver it, right? How you deliver science. You can say, "Wow, we want to deliver. We might want our kids to take physical science in this grade, or we might want to teach something this way, or we might want to add." The same pot of money, is just now you have the leverage to say, this is how we're going to use this money, as opposed to the traditional paradigm that you currently have to abide by.
Let me just add one, that group can decide on sort of a theme for the school. Across this country, there are schools that have themes. They teach math and science, but it's an arts themed school. Or it's a science or STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics themed school. They still teach English. And those groups can decide that kind of focus for that school.
Thank you. One other, who had a question?
Come back,
This was
lady right
the
here.
last one.
Yes, ma'am.
Who provides the training for the new governing boards?
So the states
The state.
have vendors you can choose from.